going on to, let me see, to my Libras. So please make sure to get my book at Amazon and BarnesandNoble.com. The link will be in the description box below as usual. Comment on the video, like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, share the video. Yeah, let's get into the video. Listen, if you ever had your chakras done, if you ever done chakra work, you really want to contact me. And I'm going to be talking about that in a video, okay? I'm going to be talking about that in a video coming up in the future, right? Of course, after I'm finished with this. But if you ever got your chakras done, you really want to, I would really suggest, you don't have to, but I would suggest you coming to me and getting that fixed. So you have the Ace of Cups, the Moon, the Queen of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Seven of Swords, the Page of Swords, the Nine of Cups, the Fool, the Three of Wands, and last but not least, you have the Justice. So what I'm seeing here for the Libras, this is for Libra, is you got the Justice card, which represents Libra. Good. So let's get into this. Let's not prejudge. Let's get into this. So you have the Ace of Cups, the Moon, and the Queen of Swords. So what I'm seeing here is you Libras, this is very interesting because what I'm seeing here is that you Libras have gotten offered some form of relationship to you, and you didn't take it. You didn't, somehow you didn't take it, right? The Queen of Cups, the Queen of Cups represents this being a situation for a lot of you where the Queen of Cups represents this being a situation for a lot of you where you basically saw it as some sort of booby trap. You know what I mean? Like somebody had offered you some sort of love interaction and you're like, nah. You know what I mean? They were being honest with you. They wanted to let you know that they're interested in you. The Queen of Swords, you were very skeptical of this because of your past situations. The Knight of Swords, the Seven of Swords, and you know, you kind of making up certain excuses to yourselves as to why it is that you shouldn't take it or why it was a trap. I don't necessarily agree with that, Libra, because not because I'm the one reading it, but because I understand the actual situation. I should say not just because I'm reading it. I'm actually the one understanding the situation. Like, the situation for you is that it seems to me as if you may have misjudged someone. This person was offering you some sort of love interaction. They actually liked you, but it may have even have been short term, you know, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, because I finally found out the difference between a twin flame and a soul flame. A twin flame is like something that is intense and short term, right? It's not meant to last. And a soulmate, right, is something that is meant to last long term. So oftentimes, like for me, for instance, I have a lot of twin flames because, again, through my own journey, my own practice, my own level of understanding, I obviously have not met someone that can meet me halfway, right? Can build that bridge to where they both connect. It's more so people who you know are essentially they're inverted and all over the place, and I realize that about them. So oftentimes it's short-lived, it's short-term. So that's the same situation for you. The Queen of Swords represents you need to kind of be able to get over your own confusion as to what you think other people are trying to do to you, because not everyone is trying to do that to you. Not everyone is trying to manipulate you, right? But too often times people go through too many experiences to the point where they start looking at things invertedly, right? Where everything is crisscrossed, or the wrong way, where everything or this misconceptions. And this is why the tarot is very important, and this is why understanding this type of stuff is very important. And I'm going to show you the card that deals with inversions is the High Priestess. The High Priestess represents how, the trials and tribulations that you go through in life makes things crisscross. And the reason why I'm saying that is because this pillar is supposed to be over here, and this pillar is supposed to be over here. So it's inverted. So, and the thing is that it's upside down. So the thing is that ultimately this moon is supposed to be over here over here, where if you're where if you're facing me, it's supposed to be here. You know, you understand what I'm saying? And why that's important in the first place is because this represents your perceptions being inverted and flipped and crisscrossed. So you don't necessarily know what exactly is going on. And that's where the orientation is. And if you don't know that, if you don't realize that your orientation is flipped and inverted, you often make a lot of terrible mistakes. And a lot of people on earth have that problem, including myself to a certain extent. And it's only, I literally want to say up until 2019, that late in the game is when I started to realize, I started to notice it even more. Like I've been into this magic stuff for years, but I started to realize it, be like, wait, something's not right. Am I the aggressor in the situation? Or is it that such and such is the aggressor? And then I realized that ultimately the answer is both. The answer is both. I'm the aggressor to particular people who I shouldn't be the aggressor to, and other people are being the aggressor to me because they're inverted themselves and flipped upside down. So the situation for them is they don't really understand what exactly is going on with them as well. They look at me as the bad guy, or I should say ultimately the villain, when in actuality I'm not really doing anything as far as against them, as far as to sabotage them. They perceive it as that. And that's the same situation that's going on with you. The Page of Swords, again, the Page of Swords represents you need to pay attention to the way that you are attributing things, because you're looking at it invertedly. It's not what you think it is. The Nine of Cups and the Fool represents how what you need to do is to take some time and slow down a minute, my dear Libras, and figure out what exactly is going on with you, right? For you to really understand who's the aggressor in your life and who are your friends, right? So the Three of Wands and the Justice represents this being a situation where the Three of Wands is once you start slowing things down. See, that's the problem with air signs. They don't slow things down sometimes because it's the air. It's all over the place. But slow things down and really look at who's been there for you and who actually hasn't, and then in your own mind be able to orientate yourself, meaning figure out for yourself who is in the friend or the ally category, the people who you could trust and the people who you can't trust. You understand what I'm saying? And you're gonna start being basically met with some truths, right? So let's clarify the Three of Wands, because the Three of Wands is in the rightful orientation. See, let me show you how much your psyche has been flipped. And see, this is the reason why it is I call for people to contact me all the time, because I'm one of the few people who know what's going on. This whole imagery represents the Kabbalistic tree. It represents the Kabbalistic tree, the tunnels of Set. Yes, there are 4 types of this tree. you have the Kabbalistic tree, you have the tunnels of Set, you have the clip off, and then you have the realm of Amalek. The realm of Amalek is a dark dragon, a black dragon. You understand what I'm saying? And it always beats the ego, the demiurge, which is the dragon that has the serpent tail and the head of the lion. I.e., if anybody's been learning about the Illuminati, which goes, because it branches off into other things, but if anybody's been learning about the Illuminati, basically, long story short, it's orientating you wrong. So what happens here is that the Three of Wands represents, this is orientating you correctly, because east, which is where if in your version it's pointing to, is fire. Wand is fire. It represents Kundalini, right? And it's also showing you that it's not this way. This is the inversion. This is the lack of understanding of perception. This is the backside of a tree, which is where the real power comes from. The backside of the Kabbalistic tree, which is what this represents, is the tunnels of Set and the realm of Amalek. So, and the Justice represents you. So these two cards, to talk about all of this reading, these two cards represent the most powerful cards in this reading, because it represents you being finally orientated, understanding where you are, initiated the correct way. Your perceptions finally have been straightened out to where now you're able to look at the world correctly. Because before, you were thinking that you were the victim, you're powerless, you don't have any power, nothing that you've got goes right. And especially if you've been on this spirituality type tip, you're programming it to not go right for you. So, you know what I'm saying? So when you do that, you're not going to get the what you want. You understand what I'm saying? The way you want it. So to clarify the Three of Wands, you have the Ten of Swords. See, look at that. The Ten of Coins. And then you have the Page of Swords. The Ten of Swords represents exactly your perceptions being flipped and turned upside down and right side up, and you don't know where the direction is. And then the Ten of Coins represents how when you finally begin to learn to orientate yourself, now you're going to understand, right, as to where this stuff actually means, and be able to really learn about yourself the correct way, right? Because most people don't like themselves, because most people think they're useless. And then the things that the Page of Swords represents, this is the trick. This represents the trick, because it represents that you think that people are standing against you, when some of them will, but it'll be fairly obvious if you have the eyes to see. And you can make a choice to get away from them. Now the Justice, let's clarify the Justice and let's get out of here. The Justice now represents the Knight of Swords, the High Priestess, and then you have the King of Spears. So the Knight of Swords now represents this being a situation where the Knight of Swords is about how, again, it's orientated correctly. Right? It's orientated correct, because their direction is east. Air is east, which is the correct way, which is showing you that the things that you originally thought, if you're really doing the work, is terrible, you're actually starting to realize those people actually had your back. And everybody's perception is inverted. Everybody in the world. You have to do the work to and then you have the High Priestess. And the High Priestess, remember what I told you, the High Priestess and the other, the High Priestess is always the inversion. It's always the flip, the High Priestess. But in this one, it's actually correct. Red with fire, the Game of Thrones, the red with fire, the scarlet, right? And you have the fire facing the correct way, which is the east. So it's orientating you. This version of the High Priestess is orientating you correctly. Now, you have the King of Swords. And the King of Swords represents how this is a situation where, King of Wands, excuse me, the King of Wands. And the King of Wands represents, this is orientating you, I would say incorrectly, because this represents how a lot of you need to watch out for, again, trying to like defend yourself so much to the point where you think everybody else is working against you. So I gave y'all a lot of information. What y'all need to be doing right now is sit back, relax, make a Venn diagram, and pay attention to who is really there for you and who is not, because you'll end up burning down relationships with people whom you have no business doing that with, and trying to keep relationships with people who you have no business doing that with. So that's pretty much it. Peace.